All right, members of the chapter, as well as potential new acolytes, this is the moment you have been waiting for. I do read your comments and I do respond to them. And the most common comment is, why don't you do comparisons of the action figures? Well, I usually focus only in on the specific action figure I'm going to be reviewing for those review videos. And then I set aside the comparison videos for just this moment. So in this special comparison video, we are going to be looking at the 3 Loyalist Primarchs that have been released side by side and comparing each and every single one to who is best. So in order to judge these lovely Primarchs, I'm going to be looking at 5 specific things, which is going to be the design of the head, the design of the armor, the design of the weapons, the articulation, as well as the design of the accessories. The top score in each category will score 3 points, the next score will be 2, and the lowest score is going to be 1. Obviously, this is going to be very subjective to me and what I like about all these different action figures. So yes, there's going to be some times in which your specific Primarch is not going to come out on top. So without further ado, let's compare the brothers. And so here we go. We have the 3 brothers next to each other for a side-by-side comparison. And the first thing that we're going to start off is we're going to look at the head of Rogal. So what do I like about Rogal? So you can see on his hair, he has a lot of highlighted spikes with his white. The eyes are nicely screened on right here. And there is a decent amount of shading on the skin here, which makes this guy have a little bit more character and depth. The thing that I don't like about this action figure is this weird like sausage thing here for a neck. It just looks out of place and very odd compared to his brothers side by side. So we're gonna put Rogal down and we're going to now take a look at Roboute. And with Roboute's head, you get to see nice white highlights on the tops of the hair. The laurels are actually very nicely highlighted as well. The eyes are screened on perfectly, but the thing is, his skin is kind of slightly pasty looking compared to his other brothers. There's a little bit of rouge on his cheeks here, but that's pretty much it with regards to Mr. Guilliman. Now let's take a look at the lion. Taking a look at his head, you can see at the tops of his hair, it does have these nice white highlights, just like his other brothers. His eyes are nicely screened without any issues. I'll have to say though, unlike his other brothers, there is a ton of detail on his face that includes a lot of wrinkles and a lot of shading. And also the beard right here obviously makes him look a lot wiser and a lot older looking. So I'll be honest with you, my vote for the best looking head goes to the lion right here. Number 2 goes to Dorn. And number 3 goes to Roboute. So we're going to go pick up Rogal again and now look at his armor. So his armor is a obviously brilliant gold. It stands out so much more than his other brothers, I think, just because of the gold. There is just excellent iconography that is all over the place, especially with this eagle, the different kind of metallic looking wings that this action figure has. But the biggest downfall for this action figure is there is no shading, as I said in the review video. It just looks like one gigantic bland piece. I think this action figure would have been excellent if there was shading and there was highlighting to make this gold stand out. Then we're going to take at Roboute's armor. The matte blue finish down here contrasts very, very well with this gold. And I think that this is like a perfect color combination right here. The armor is extremely ornate, just like Rogal's, with gold embroidery and all these fancy ivy-like kind of designs that's all over the place. So we're going to put Roboute down and take a look at the line again. The general gist of this armor is it's a dark Caliban green with some light highlights. It is actually very, very simple looking next to the rest of his brothers. It lacks the ornate designs and intricacies of both Rogal as well as Roboute. So I do like the simple design of this armor, but it just lacks that pop that makes the rest of his brother's armor stands out. I'll have to give it to Guilliman as the best looking armor, followed by Dorn, followed by the Lion. And now we are going to move on with the third category of judgment, which happens to be the weapons. So let's start out with Rogal's main weapon, which is Storm's Teeth. So it has excellent Ivy-like iconography all over the place. I really like the color combination of this maroon, gunmetal, as well as the gold and black. It contrasts very well, so it makes this chainsword really jump out. So we're going to put this chainsword down and take a look at the Voice of Terra, which happens to be his fancy bolter. And just like a fancy bolter, there is a great use of colors. There is gold, black, silver, bone color, red, blue. So it provides a lot of contrast and a lot of different colors. And now we are going to take at Roboute's weapons, starting off with the Emperor's Sword. And during my review, I was pretty floored by how this sword looks, and I'm still really floored by how awesome this sword looks. Look at this orange color, and there's light yellow highlighting that's happening here, and then the flames that are going on with it too. There's this nice color gradient from yellow to like this dark orange color to this brown color. So it really makes this sword really come alive. And I think this is just the epitome of what a sword is supposed to look like. This thing is absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. Moving on, we're going to be taking a look at the Hand of Dominion. So looking at this special weapon over here, I'm going to have to say it doesn't look like anything too special. I mean, you have the dark gunmetal of your standard bolter. It does have some gunmetal, some gold, some red, as well as some black. And then we are now going to take a look at the Lion's weapons, starting off with Fealty. Fealty is a standard looking sword with a similar look to all power swords. You have these blue nodes that are glowing right here, and then you have this color transition from this dark gunmetal all the way up to a silver. But the overall aesthetic is pretty much something that we've seen before on all Space Marine power sword wielding action figures, but it still does not stand out from the rest of the weapons. The other thing that I'm going to mention is the scabbard, yes, is really cool, but this spelling is just absolutely atrocious in my opinion. JoyToy really missed this one. And then we're going to bring up Arma Luminis. So unfortunately, this weapon we cannot remove from its holster, but it does appear that it has a nice looking red gunmetal silver with silver highlights, and then this gold, so there is a nice color contrast. And then the final weapon or accessory is the Emperor's Shield. It is obviously regal looking and has a nice usage of gold, red, and the brown colors that really captures your eye and your attention as you're looking at it. So in all honesty, I'm gonna have to give 3 points to Guilliman's weapons. Number 2 is going to be Rogal's weapons, and then finally rounding out will be the Lion's weapons. All right, the fourth category that we're going to look into is the articulation of these action figures. And once again, we will start out with Mr. Rogal Dorn. And I will have to say that the articulation for Dorn is actually almost completely uninhibited. There is no restrictions whatsoever, and this action figure is highly posable. I'm not going to bother doing the articulation for all 3 of these action figures right now. If you want to see that, you can go to the action figures individual reviews, but you're just going to have to trust me in saying that Dorn really does not have any restrictions whatsoever to his movement right here. And then moving on, we're going to be taking a look at Guilliman. In general, this action figure is highly posable. The only thing that restricts the movement of Guilliman is this belt right here. It restricts it in that he can't spin his left arm 360 degrees, but the rest of the action figure is very fluid. And then we are finally going to take a look at the Lion right here. And you can just see with the amount of robes and a lot of capes right here, his movement is the most restricted out of all the Primarchs here, just because of all this extra flair, I suppose, which is a detriment to him in terms of his articulation. The biggest thing is because of his robes, you aren't allowed to kick the legs back. So this is going to definitely hurt him in the end. With regards to movement, I'm going to have to give it to Dorn over here with 3 points, and then 2 with Roboute, and finally the most restricted movement is going to be the lion. So it looks like we have a tie between Roboute and Dorn, and unfortunately the lion is coming in last place with a total score of 6. And the final thing that we're going to be looking at now is the accessories for these Primarchs. By accessories, I mean like capes as well as backpacks. So the first thing that we're going to be taking a look at is Rogal's cape right here. And as you can see, he has a very nice looking red cape. You've got the golden embroidery right here, as well as the golden fist. The backpack is also very interesting in that the fans are a nice translucent blue that helps it jump out. And that's pretty much it with regards to Rogal's accessories. We're now going to be taking a look at Roboute's accessories, and I'll have to say that his backpack is very, very majestic and regal looking. So over here, you have an iron halo that's back here that really makes the action figure jump out. I love it how this halo is centered around his head. And then you have the golden wings right here of an eagle that's kind of like perched on his back. You've got a nice cool Adeptus Mechanicus symbol here, a bunch of wires, a bunch of tubing, a lot of contrast of silver, blue, red, as well as the gold inlaying here. So there's a lot of cool things that's going on with this backpack that I really like. So with regards to his cape, it is also nicely done, much like Rogal's cape. There's nice gold embroidery on the cape. The thing that really makes this cape jump out is this lion's pelt here. So it's highly detailed, and the fur is very textured and highly shaded as well. The final thing I'm going to say is his backpack is also very majestic looking. You have the steel wings down here, as well as the gold accents. So in terms of accessories, I'm going to have to give it to Johnson to win that one with a score of 3. And then Guilliman is number 2. And then finally, Rogal is 1. And this makes Roboute the undisputed winner of the Primarch comparison. Now let me wrap this one up with my final thoughts. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this comparison video. I, to be honest, was a little bit surprised with the results. I really did not expect Roboute to be winning. I actually kind of wanted the lion to win. I know this is not a 100% fair kind of comparison because we have 2 40K Primarchs and 1 30K Primarch. I think that if and when JoyToy does release the rest of the 30K Primarchs, I think that comparison would probably be a little bit more valid if we do a side-by-side comparison with Dorn in his rest of the 30K Primarchs. So we will have to look forward to the future with that one. All in all, if you pull back and look at the action figures of these Primarchs that have been released, each and every single one of them is pretty glorious in their own right. They stand quite tall compared to their lesser Space Marine brethren. So this is Sprues and Studs. Thanks again for tuning in to this comparison video. If you are interested in picking up any of these 3 Primarchs, please click in the link in the description below, and you will be directed to Flymatoi, where I get most, if not all, of my action figures. And as these Primarchs are not cheap, please make sure to use my code SNS to receive 12% off of your purchase. And with that being said, once again, you guys are awesome. I would not be here without you, and I will see you all in the next one.